Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's web class. I'm really excited to get together with you and talk about having great hair every day. As women, I think we all know the feeling of, oh, I wish my hair looked better today. And I want you to know that if you have felt that, I've been there too. I actually cringe when I look back at some of my videos I've done online for traditional cooking school. Like this one was a year ago, and I look at that frizzy, yucky mess. I mean, okay, my hair is curly. Okay, it's long. Okay, it wasn't as gray as it is now, but it didn't look very good, did it? And since January, my hair has looked like this pretty much every day. And I'm just really happy with it. It makes me happy, and my husband loves it. And it's just one of those things where it's not vanity. It's like it makes you feel good and makes you feel like, well, you're doing your utmost with the features and benefits God has given you. So anyway, it's just really important. And can you relate to that? You can say in the chat if you can. Absolutely. I'm so glad to hear it from all of you. So today's agenda, we're going to go over what your hair type is, and I'm going to talk about hair types, and then I'm going to tell you why it matters a lot. It's something that you cannot ignore, and what might happen if you get your hair type wrong. We're also going to talk about why hair thins and what to do about it. I'm going to help you evaluate so that you can choose the best products, not just for your type in mind, but so that they are high quality. And I'm going to go through a bunch of best practices from washing to styling to more. All of this with the goal of you having great hair every day. And at the end, we're going to do door prizes and take your questions. Talk about your hair type. When you're talking about your hair type, this is really important. If you've ever read, because we're women, we look online for information. So you read this blog or watch this video and somebody says, you have to use this product. And then you try it yourself and you're like, well, that didn't work on me. Well, because her hair was different than yours. What works for one person doesn't work for everyone. So we have to stop just saying it's the product. We have to start with what our hair type is. That's how I'm entering this conversation today, to instruct you on what your hair type is, because it's been so life-changing for me, or should I say hair-changing, to know that. So we're going to talk about porosity. Porosity is a fancy word for porous. Porous is how open, how much it absorbs. And we're going to talk about your individual hairs. We're not talking about your overall hair thickness. We're talking about your individual hairs. And if you have fine hair, it's called low porosity. If you have coarse or thirsty hair, it's called high porosity. And you can see there on the screen, I've got images of, hair. It's like zoomed in on a microscope to a hair strand, and you can see that on the fine hair or low porosity, the hair has scales, but they're held in tight. And on high porosity, they're open, kind of like an opened pine cone. Well, all those pockets are where things can get in and or escape the hair. So this is like zoomed in microscopic on a hair strand, and you can see there's a big difference between fine hair and coarse, thirsty hair, correct? And so in a moment, you will see where that plays in. Moving on, how to identify your type. Well, you might be able to identify if your hair is low porosity or high porosity with this quick list of symptoms. So low porosity, your hair is shiny, takes a long time to dry. Think about those scales on your hair strand. They're so closed. So if there's any moisture in there, it's going to take your hair a long time to dry. Also because your hair shaft is kind of closed. Any product you put on is just going to sit right on top, not going to get in. So your hair is easily susceptible to product buildup or greasiness. So if you're the person who's like, why is this so heavy? Why is my hair so flat and built up? Could be a sign of low porosity. If you have medium porosity, just keep in mind that we're going to be in the middle of low and high, which I'll tell you now. So symptoms of high porosity is your hair dries very quickly. Your hair might be extra prone to frizz and dryness. You might actually look like a lot of people complain. It looks like I plugged myself into an electric socket. It's just like my hair went. Low porosity hair can have frizz and dryness and vice versa, but we're talking about the overall hair type. So maybe now in the chat, you all can share what you think your hair is. Also, I'm going to give you a quick at-home porosity test you can do right now. So if you take one strand of hair and you put it between two fingers at the end of the strand, then take your other hand between two fingers and put it on the strand as well, and go back up to your scalp. What does it feel like? Does it feel mostly smooth, somewhat bumpy, or really bumpy? Well, if it's smooth, it's low porosity, that smooth strand. If it's bumpy or coarse, it's high porosity. And it can help if you do this on multiple members of your family. Like the day I discovered this test, I did it on me, I did it on Hania, I did it on Naomi, and we all did it on each other, and we could definitely tell the difference. My hair turned out to be fine or smooth, so low porosity. Naomi had different areas on her hair that were different, but the biggest part of concern to her was this coarse, really dry, frizzy hair underneath here. And when we did her strands, they were quite bumpy and coarse. And then Hania was just somewhat in the middle. So put in the chat what you think yours is. So we've got some low porosity, we've got some coarse, dries slowly from Kim, maybe because so much thick hair, possibly. Yeah, sometimes it's like not always clear. But then if you start using, if you make an educated guess and you say, well, I think my hair's this, and as we're going to talk about later in terms of the products you might use, you might find that some issues go away and others rise to the surface, and you can narrow it down more. So we've got smooth from Patricia, Jen is medium, Jamie is low porosity, Amy, shiny, takes a long time to dry, but summer the frizz and curls come out, so maybe higher medium. Still could be medium or low. I mean, geography and humidity or lack of really plays a factor. Like I said, low porosity hair can still be frizzy. I'm an example of that. My hair is low porosity and I still had frizz because the frizz was a secondary issue, let's say. Patricia's smooth, Kathy is low, Mary, lots of body but dries before the beautician can get it cut. Interesting. Sometimes these are puzzles we have to sort out. Debbie, low. Karina, think I'm probably low. Betty, high. Martha, high. Judy, hair is fine but dries quickly because it's so thin. Yes, if you do have thin hair and it's fine, it can dry quickly. So, I mean, if your hair is very thick and it's fine, it can take 4 to 5 hours to dry. So that does play. So thanks for bringing that up, Judy. Deborah, feels smooth but dries right away, so maybe due to thinness, yes. Elena's low. Betty, low. Karen, low. Fine hair but dries quickly, so it's probably the fineness or the thinness to dry quickly. Amy, somewhat bumpy, and I won't read everyone else. Although my mom, medium, not sure. Yeah, I think yours probably is medium. That was interesting, wasn't it? So keep in mind what your type is. Why does hair type matter? Remember, I brought up the issue before. Why don't my friends' products work for me? Well, this has happened so many times, I can't count. I'll watch a video, some like curly girl, and she's saying, I use this, and then 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 she has these fabulous curls when she's done. Well, now I know if I tried that, why it doesn't work for me, and it so often hasn't. Because if you have low porosity hair, you can't just use anybody else's products unless they have low porosity hair like you, because you need lighter protein-free products that, first of all, won't sit on the hair, building up and causing it to look or feel greasy. You also need products that are going to draw moisture to the hair, especially in humid climates. This is because fine hair, low porosity hair can get dry, but the hair shaft is so tight, the moisturizing products, whatever they are, can't penetrate. So you want light moisturizing products and ingredients that are going to draw moisture there so that you don't have the dryness and frizz. Let's talk about high porosity hair as needs. So you need deeply moisturizing protein-rich products that add structure and shine to the hair. That would be awful for a low porosity person. And maybe occasionally a medium porosity person could use those, but not all the time. Also with high porosity hair, oils and butters that seal the hair and prevent moisture from escaping, because those gaps in the hair shaft, things can get in, they can also get out really quickly. So hair dries really fast, it's dry. Like our daughter Naomi, who has high porosity hair underneath here, she just can put on hair oil after hair oil after hair oil, and there is a point where her hair can't take any more, but where I would be greasy, her hair just sucks it in and restores it to a good balance. So huge difference there. And so you need to know that going in so that you can pick the right products and even style and take care of your hair accordingly. Is that making sense to everyone? Sherry made a comment, highlighted hair is high porosity. Virgin hair, which she has lots of since not having been to a salon during pandemic, is low porosity. Yes, so you could be born with low porosity hair, but if you do treatments, highlights, coloring, heat tools. You can actually make your hair high porosity, and that's damage, not necessarily what you're born with. So yeah, keep all that in mind. So in simpler terms, if you have low porosity, your hair is probably fine or light. If you have medium porosity, your hair is probably normal or average. If you have high porosity hair, coarse, dry, thirsty hair. Your scalp, your head could have a mixture depending on, like we were talking about with Sherry. Now, if you get it wrong, and this is whether your hair is curly or straight, if you get it wrong, this is what could happen. And I'm going to put myself up as the first example of getting it wrong with low porosity hair. This is me before, even using the curly girl method, which I know I've discussed with many of you. I was using the wrong products, and so my hair had frizz and dryness and flyaways, and it was just not fun. And this is after finding the right products for me, low porosity, and styling and everything. And that's actually was taken in January, I believe, and that's pretty much how my hair has looked every day since. And Mary is making the point that your hair can change during your lifetime. Yes, it can. So, I mean, we're looking at a snapshot of what you are now and working toward balance. Here's an example of normal porosity hair. So this is our daughter, Hania. This is, I mean, she's young, and when we're young, our hair is just generally healthier. So I didn't take as much care with my hair as I do now when I'm 45 as I did when I was a teenager. And same thing with our daughter, Hania, who's in her 20s. So in general, her hair looked pretty healthy, definitely not as bad as mine, but you can see it's frizzy and curls are kind of meshed together. And now that she's using the products for normal porosity hair that are, right for her, you can see shiny, defined waves, the frizz is gone. So it's really quite amazing the difference it can make when you get it right or when you get it wrong. And then this is an example of someone that I do not know, but I just thought it was a great example. What I think is probably coarse hair going from this to this when she gets it right with the products. And again, although the three examples I've given you, me curly, Hania wavy, and then this girl's obviously curly, this is the same thing if you have straight, wavy, or curly hair. If you're not using the right products and you don't have your hair type right and not doing all the other things right, having to do with your type, then you either look like these ladies did before or after. Well, I just think it's amazing to see the before and after difference. So now I want to talk about, even though your hair might have issues, like all of us probably could check off 2 or 3 of these things on this list when our hair on those bad days: greasy, dry, frizzy, flat, itchy, rough, coarse, there's buildup, hair is thinning. Even though your hair may have issues, if you focus on those and ignore your hair type, this or worse might happen. And I'm putting my hand to my forehead because I think this is a picture in December when I was really trying to, find a new hair protocol that would be good for me because I felt like I'm at the end of my rope. This is not working. Okay, the curly girl method does some stuff, but these products are just coming out awful every day of the shower. And so I was like, okay, well, my main issue is I'm dry and frizzy. So I chose products that would smooth and deeply condition. Well, look how flat my hair turned out. The products were way too heavy. They just made my hair completely flat. Maybe you look like your hair, you plugged into a light socket if you're using the wrong things, or maybe you lose all your volume, or maybe you're too greasy, or you have tons of buildup, or all kinds of things could happen if you go in the wrong direction. So these are just some examples. If you focus on those issues, but ignore your hair type. It's my opinion that your hair type comes first and everything. And this is an example of me when I got my type right, the rest fell into place. So I chose products that are for fine, light hair, and I got the volume, I got the shine, I got the bounce, I got the curlier, not frizzy and not dry. All of those things fell into place when I used the right products. Now I know there's bigger issues that people have, like maybe dandruff or maybe thinning. Those things will take more time, but you have to start with your hair type when you get your hair type right. Is that making sense to everyone? It determines where you go from there. Okay, let's talk about why hair thins, because I know a lot of you, when I was inviting you to this web class or talking to you if you wanted to do it, I probably got 50, yes, we need to talk about that. So we're going to talk about the reasons for hair thinning. And I need you to keep 2 things in mind. First is that it's normal to lose between 100 and 150 strands of hair per day. And that's for someone who has kind of a normal head of hair. If someone's hair is thinning, obviously their number is going to be down. Or if someone is super thick, the number could be higher. But that's normal. And if you have curly hair, a lot of it's going to come out in the shower, actually. So it can be quite alarming, because if you have curly hair, those strands that are falling out are caught in the curls. And so you're not like just shedding them everywhere as if your hair was straight. So just keep that in mind. That's normal. Don't be alarmed, with normal hair loss. Our hair is just shedding. That's what happens. Also, if you're losing your hair today, this is a symptom of something that happened in your body probably around 2 to 3 months ago. Hair loss is not immediate. Every hair has a lifetime that's determined by your state of health. And so a hair loss is triggered 2 to 3 months prior. Like basically the signal is sent to die, but it takes 2 to 3 months. So realize that if your hair is thinning right now, you could just think back 2 to 3 months, what was going on in my life back then that could cause this? Or if your hair has been thinning for months, that process probably started 2 to 3 months before you first noticed you were having extra hair loss. So causes of hair loss: stress, poor nutrition, nutritional deficiencies is what that means, anemia, hormone imbalances, medications, weight loss, surgeries, illness, chemo, toxins, high DHT. DHT is a hormone that our body produces from testosterone, so it's a byproduct. Heat tools, postpartum. Our daughter Hania went through this. I don't remember going through this when I was pregnant, but her hair got so thick and gets so thick and shiny and healthy when she's pregnant. And then when she gives birth, she experiences hair loss because there's just something about pregnancy for her. So there's a lot of causes of hair loss. The ones that I've starred are the ones that in particular, I have products that I could recommend to you that would help with this, but they're also the ones that are the most common causes of hair loss in people. So anemia, where you have low iron, I myself have experienced that. And I believe that in past years when my hair was thinning more than the usual amount, mine was related to anemia. Also hormone imbalances. So thyroid is a big one. Also just your normal sex hormones that keep you as a healthy woman are related in your hair health. High DHT, so this happens a lot in men, but it happens in women too, because the pathway from testosterone to DHT is just the same in men and women, and it concentrates that right at the hair follicles. And so if there's high DHT at the hair follicle, it basically causes the follicle to die. And this can be slowed if the follicle's not dead yet. If the follicle is dead, it can't be corrected. So all of these things you want to consider, like when you're looking at your hair loss, you have to work on all of them, because yes, there are products that can help or slow down thinning hair from some or all of these reasons. But if you have things you can correct in your lifestyle or your diet, then why not work on that, right? And I also wanted to tell you some statistics about hair loss, that 50% of women overall have some hair loss. So that's pretty high. 40% of men are experiencing hair loss by the age of 35. 65% of men are losing hair or have hair loss to some degree by the age of 60. And 80% of men have hair loss by the age of 80 to some degree. These are statistics that I believe were shared in a presentation I watched from a couple years ago by a stylist. And so they may not be accurate now, but even if they're not accurate to the percentage, a lot of it, most of us here have said, my hair has been thinning as I'm getting older because of blank, 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 or even if you don't know why, I'd say half of us watching this right now, at least, could say that, correct? Our hair is thinning. My mom is pointing out genetics too, yes. Mary Howard says, undiagnosed hypothyroid improved after I finally got on thyroid replacement. Yes, same thing with me as well. There we go. So to correct thinning hair, you do need to address the root causes. So if you're anemic, cook in cast iron, eat red meat, possibly supplement with iron pills. And if you guys need recommendations, I have the ones that my doctor gave me. Another thing is to eat liver, because it's a high source of iron. So you can't ignore the underlying root causes if you want to improve your thinning hair. This is a general rule for everyone, but prioritize rest and de-stressing. It's not only going to improve your hair health, it's going to improve your skin. And if you have belly fat, I mean, it just has huge ramifications for everything that women hold dear. So always prioritize rest and de-stressing whenever possible. I know that our lives are stressful and there's things we can't control, but during those times that we can, make it a priority. You want to use non-toxic clean products that will decrease scalp inflammation, irritation, pore health. So overall, your hair health will be improved. And there are products, whether you have anemia or hormones or high DHT at the hair follicle, there are products that can stop or slow that process. And at the end, I'll give you a way to find out more about that. And always allow time to see improvement, because remember what I said, what's happening today with your hair in terms of thinning started 2 to 3 months ago. So you have to wait 2 to 3 months, or for some people, months to years. Hopefully not years, but for some people it is. It's a process. And so you have to allow time to see improvement. It will not be overnight. Some things will be overnight, like volume, frizz, and things like that. But in terms of thinning, you have to allow time for improvement. Here's some examples that I got off the internet, people who had shared, where they have various reasons for hair thinning and they're using the same kind of products that I'm using. And there's various timelines here from months to years, and some of them don't say, but the results are clear. So this gal has thinning here and here at her temples, basically everywhere. And so now she has gotten back a bunch of hair, which is pretty exciting. This gal is April to June to September of 2017, you can see the thinning that's going on. And by addressing, at least with products, but probably also with lifestyle, you can see a lot of hair growth coming back in. Another example, so just overall thinning, but especially right here at the crown, you can see the hair regrowth that's taken place. Here is 1 month actually or even a little less than a month. So this lady had a really fast reaction improvement from probably using products that slow DHT or block DHT at the follicle. So that's a great improvement for her. This again is 1 month to see a quite significant difference in the amount of hair on the crown. This gal just overall has thin, fine, kind of wispy hair. And I believe this one was within a year. And now it's much thicker and fuller overall. And so in these examples, you see high DHT, you see anemia, you see hormone, you see stress, and those should be addressed individually, but also within the products that are chosen to just improve the hair health, encourage growth, reduce scalp inflammation, because if your scalp isn't healthy, then your hair suffers and things like that. Another example of just overall kind of wispy hair getting fuller and thicker. And again, another similar example, and this is a 2-year difference, so for her, it took longer. She probably saw immediate things, but within 2 years, how fantastic. Okay, so we're going to talk now about how to choose the best products. And I'm not planning to sell you any products today, although I can tell you how to find out more at the end. I'm just giving you a guideline here for when you're shopping, the things that you should be looking for, and they're based on what I look for. My basic criteria have come from being tired of trade-offs. So, and when I say that, I mean, okay, so I get a lot of toxins and my hair looks great. Well, that's not a trade-off I'm comfortable with. Or it's very natural, and so I know there's no toxins, but I don't get good performance, which is kind of what was happening in that picture I showed you a year ago of me where my hair was dry, frizzy, a little wavy, but it really looked horrible. So trade-offs just don't make the cut for me anymore. So I look for non-toxic products. They have to be clean and non-toxic. I get rashes, irritations. I know that hormones suffer all kinds of results, some that you can see and a lot that you can't see from using toxins. They have to be high performing. So they have to give me the results that I want, which now I know the results that I'm looking for. It's that I get volume, curl, shine, reduce frizz, and I have just kind of lighter hair instead of heavy, build up, frizzy, all those things that I've showed you already. So they have to be high performing. When you're considering your own products, what to you would give you the results that you want? You have to think about your issues. First, your hair type, and then if you match the products to your hair type, do you get the performance on those issues? Thinning, greasy, dry, itchy scalp, volume, frizzy, whatever those issues are for you. Again, appropriate for your hair type. And this includes styling products. And it also includes how many styling products you use. And I'm going to talk about more about that when I get into the styling tips. Again, I kind of said this already, but appropriate for your hair type, and it addresses your issues. But priority is your hair type, because a lot of those issues fall into place. And if they don't, then you can take steps to correct them, by making small tweaks. But you have to start with your hair type. So the best products, and we're talking about shampoo, conditioner, mask, styling products, etc. So if this is to help you shop. So if you know you're low porosity, the product should be protein free, but they may not say that, but you can scan the ingredient list and you can even look up individual ingredients to find out, is that a protein or not? But often on the bottle or in the advertising, they say for volume, or they say for light fine hair, for thin wispy hair. Those are the kind of terminology. That's the kind of terminology that's used on products that are for low porosity. And there's a couple brands out there that say low porosity and talk about porosity, but most brands don't. So you're going by keywords like volume or light fine hair. If you have medium, I didn't put on here, I'll just say now, medium will say things like for normal hair. It's just normal hair. The special, and if you have medium porosity hair, low porosity hair products will probably work for you with additional moisturizing. High porosity, they do contain protein and they have rich butters and oils, because the butters and oils need to seal the hair up so that you're not losing moisture escaping through those open spots. And so the marketing terms here, the words on the bottle, is going to be deeply nourishing, smoothing, or for coarse, thirsty, dry hair, for frizzy hair. Those are the terms that you would want to see on your products. And we're talking about toxin free, so this is just a short list of the toxins that I personally would avoid most importantly. And it goes on, there's more, but silicones, parabens, phthalates, harmful fragrances or colors. And I say harmful because not all fragrances or colors are harmful. And just in general, all the other harsh or harmful ingredients that you might find in most conventional hair products. Now, let's talk about silicones specifically. I put an asterisk by it because I wanted to talk about it. So silicones do give a soft, silky texture. They've been used for a long time in hair products. If I remember when I would go over to, when we lived in California, and I'd go over to my mother-in-law's house, and I would have occasion to take a shower there, which who knows why, maybe coming out of the pool or something. And so there's some shampoo in the shower that I was like, oh my goodness, my hair feels so silky smooth. Well, thank goodness I didn't use it regularly, but now I know it had silicones, and it was just one of those like brands that you get at any drugstore. Well, so yes, they give a soft, silky texture, but they stick to the hair surface and they give it this plastic-like film. Now, this has a benefit in terms of soft, silky texture. It also protects your hair from, if you use heat tools, because it's like a barrier to the heat penetrating the hair and damaging. But the problem is that plastic-like coating from the silicones prevents strands from absorbing water, air, and nutrients. So over time, the hair becomes dry and brittle. Products stop working. You're like, I'm adding all this oil or moisturizer and it's just not getting to the hair. Well, that's what the silicones are doing. There are two kinds of silicones. So years ago when silicones were first added to shampoos and conditioners, they were non-soluble, which basically means like you needed a strong clarifying shampoo to like wash them away. Now there's water soluble silicones in shampoos. You can wash them off more easily, but I generally would say stay away from them entirely, because you want to address your hair for the hair type it is and not have silicones in the way of getting moisture in, or else if your hair is fine, to have just silicones there creating buildup and messing with the volume that you could have. We're going to go through best practices for great hair every day now. First, to start that, I want to discuss something that is kind of trendy on and off in those of us that are interested in natural living. So this idea of no poo, meaning no shampoo. For a couple months now, this ad has been stalking me on Instagram where it says, we believe you should stop, or you should stop shampooing. And I'm like, sorry, no. I get buildup on my hair if I don't shampoo. So I'm not going to say that this idea of no shampooing is bad for everyone, because maybe it's okay for someone. But in general, I believe that one size doesn't fit all. And so nobody should be making that kind of statement of you should give up shampoo. And I also believe that all hair needs cleansing. However, fine hair needs cleansing more often. So me, I'm at the point where I wash my hair every day because that's how it looks its best, because I have buildup. So I need cleansing more often and more deeply to remove the buildup. Coarse hair needs less deep cleansing, maybe even less often, every other day, 2 to 3 times a week. You have to play with that for yourself. And coarse hair needs deeper conditioning. For coarse hair, conditioning and less cleansing is not a recipe for disaster. For fine hair, less cleansing and deep conditioning is a recipe for disaster. And I think that should make sense to everyone. It all comes down to what I've been saying from the beginning. It has to do with your hair type. One size doesn't fit all. And I do believe that all hair does need shampooing and conditioning. It just needs the right shampooing and conditioning for your hair type. Let's talk about washing and conditioning, kind of some guidelines that are going to help you have great hair every day. And this does presume that you've found the right products. So use the non-toxic products that are right for your hair type. With the products that I use, and I think this wouldn't be bad with other brands as well, that the recommendation that I get really good results from is by shampooing 2 times each time I wash. So the products I use have hair regrowth and just scalp healing and wonderful benefits. And so I do it 2 times and I let it sit for a minute or 2 each time just to get the maximum benefits. I also use a clarifying shampoo 1 time per month or as needed. Sometimes I do it more often, but I think everybody should be using a clarifying shampoo frequently just to give your hair a fresh start. And definitely if you get to the point where you're saying, why are my products not working for me? You could consider a clarifying step at that point. Now, if you have coarse hair, it's perhaps you need more moisturizing. Also, clarifying is huge if you have hard water, city water, because you're just getting bad things on your hair or in your hair. And so clarifying is going to help you just get a fresh start. Also, you can use a deep conditioning mask 1 time per week or as needed. Again, this depends on your hair type. So for me, I do it 1 time per week, and mine is actually a mask for light hair. Very different from the mask that my daughter Naomi uses on the coarse hair that's under here. So again, it's the right mask for you. A conditioning mask 1 time per week can just give your hair the moisture it needs. For normal or coarse hair, you could also leave a little conditioner in, or you can apply leave-in conditioner at least to the ends, maybe to all your hair if your hair needs that extra. And that's just something you want to play with. But one of the huge things in having great hair is the right level of conditioning. So you have the moisture you need. It's not too much and it's not too little. So your hair is shiny, not frizzy, has the volume you want. Also to use a microfiber towel instead of a regular bath towel. This is especially for curlies. I brought mine to today's web class. This will help you cut down on frizz and damage really and causing your hair to dry, because a microfiber towel does not do that to your hair, whereas a regular bath towel is extremely drying and damaging. Okay, so since we were talking about that, I'll just do Mary's comment. Careful with the water softeners. Most contain salt as a softening agent. Yes, that can also contribute problems. So again, why clarifying is so important. We actually have a water softener in our home that doesn't add salt. The salts are just large in the water. And this is I forget what it's called, but it does a process where it breaks them up smaller. So they don't stick on your hair and they don't clog your pipes and they don't do deposits. They just basically are broken up smaller. So they just wash right out into the water system. So you could look into something like that if you're in the market for a softener. So styling rules. So no combs or brushes, only finger comb in the shower or use a wide tooth comb. This is especially for curlies, but I just do think that it's my belief, and maybe it works for some people, but this rule of brush your hair 100 times per day, most brushes are damaging. They're going to pull moisture off your hair. They're going to break your hair. I just recommend, unless you absolutely have to use a brush, that you don't use combs or brushes. And if you need to do something, finger comb in the shower or use a wide tooth comb. And you can play with that. And I say especially for curlies because I don't ever brush or comb my hair, and I don't think most curlies benefit from that. You just finger comb in the shower and then you just leave it alone after it dries or you diffuse it. For fine hair, you want to use less product to avoid buildup or flattening. especially curlies. And I think it works for most people too. They apply styling products when your hair is wet. Of course, there's some products that are meant to go on dry hair, so I'm not talking about those necessarily. And then in terms of the products that you're using, you want to layer them, and I learned this from my stylist, you layer them from richest to lightest. So your cream or your coral cream, then the gel, then the mousse, etc. And especially for curlies, it works great if you apply these when your hair is sopping wet in the shower and you scrunch in. And it's really good if you have, well, really any hair type, because the scrunching just pushes them further in so that you can get the maximum benefit. And then, this is especially for curlies as well, but I think could work for many people, is after applying your styling products, remember curlies, your hair is sopping wet in the shower. That's when then you use your microfiber towel and you scrunch dry, and it removes any excess styling product. I say especially for curlies, but I would also add especially for people with fine, light hair, because excess product is what gives us flat and buildup. So if you can remove whatever is not like scrunched in, that's just extra, and then your hair will turn out better for it. Megan, a wet brush in the shower has been helpful also. Great, and I'm glad that the microfiber towel is helping you. Yay. Okay, I have more styling rules for you for great hair every day. Don't touch hair when it's drying. This is if you're air drying. Not even to scrunch it or it gets frizzy. Don't touch your hair. If you're using gel, let it dry fully, and then you can tip your hair upside down and kind of like shake it, and that'll break the cast if there's any stiffness from the gel, but your hair will get frizzy if you touch it while it's drying. And I know people use heat tools, but I think we've already established that heat tools cause damage. So better if you don't use heat tools, but at least reduce the heat. And a diffuser, which I'm going to talk about more, doesn't necessarily count as a heat tool because the air is diffused. It doesn't cause the damage, but I'm talking about straighteners and hot air dryers. Those can really damage your hair. So use them cautiously and lower the heat if you're going to use them. If you do use heat tools and you've chosen products that meet my criteria where they don't have silicones, remember silicones protect the hair from heat damage. So if you're using products without silicone and you're using heat tools, it's good to use a product that's going to add protection without silicones. It's going to add protection from the heat and do lower the heat as well. If diffusing, you don't scrunch your hair while diffusing, which means some people, they're using the diffuser and they're also scrunching at the same time. Don't do that. That causes frizz, and I'll tell you the process for diffusing in just a little bit. Yes, Carrie, use a heat protectant. Sleep on a silk or satin pillowcase. This is to prevent hair from drying out or getting frizzy while sleeping. So if you are a person that doesn't wash every day, then your hair is going to stay more moisturized, less frizzy, less dry going those multiple days without washing. Or if you do use a silk or satin pillowcase, because it'll help that. If you use a regular cotton pillowcase, it's going to pull moisture and just introduce frizz and damage. If you are refreshing your hair on a second hair day or on a dry day later, really great refreshing spray is just water with some lavender essential oil added. If you have fine hair, I didn't put this as a bullet point, but if you have fine hair and you've used some styling products, you generally don't need to add more styling products because the water will just reactivate them. But if you have coarse hair or hair that loses moisture easily, for you on a second or third day, adding more product that is suited to your hair type in addition to the water can help you get great hair on your second or third days. Don't use harsh hair bands or repeatedly put your hair up the same way all the time. This causes damage. So there are people that wear a ponytail every day, and it's one of those, really strong ones, and or they're just yanking it out of their hair. Well, it's no wonder they have a line of frizz, or they have a permanent breakage, or permanent just not get very good hair in that spot. So it's the repetition and the damage and the tightness that's happening from doing the same thing every day. Now, I do the same thing every day, but I use this non-damaging clip, and I just put a little bit of my hair back so it's not in my eyes. This is not damaging, but a harsh hairband is ripping it out of your hair, or really tight, or a really tight headband that's not soft. I think you know what I mean here. And Carrie is adding a tip to use a scrunchie and put your hair up at night so it doesn't rub on the pillow all night. Yes, I left that off because I want to do a web class soon for curlies. But with curlies, it's such thing as a pineapple, but anybody can do it where you just put your hair up and use a soft hairband to hold your hair up. And then not all your hair is rubbing on your pillowcase at night. So you can just really end up with better hair on subsequent days. Thank you, Carrie. And Martha, I've got you covered. I have a picture of that exactly here. So styling accessories, these are some of the things that I just mentioned. So this is the diffuser attachment that I have, but there's lots of different ones that can go on a hair dryer. Here's my silk pillowcase. Here's my microfiber towel, a wide tooth comb, which actually I don't even have one anymore. So I didn't have a picture of it. So I grabbed this off Amazon. That's why it doesn't look real, because it's not, it's not actually in my kitchen right now. This is the telephone hair tie that Martha was just mentioning. And these are what I use as well to do a pineapple at night. These are double prong hair clips, which I will tell you about in a moment. This is my spray bottle with water and lavender. So probably things could be added here, but I consider these essentials to mention, not just for curlies, but for everyone, for good health. In terms of the right way to diffuse, so this is for curlies, but the right way to diffuse is your hair's wet and this is what I learned from the stylist, and you use low to medium heat and you set the hair in there, minimal touching, and you just put it up to the scalp. And you hold it, and I usually count to 15 or 30, and I'll do another section. And I actually start with the top of the hair upside down just to get volume there, and then I'll flip my head up and I'll do the rest. And you really only need to do about 80% dry or less, depending on how much dryness you want to just start the day. But if you go all the way dry, that's where you can introduce frizz even from diffusing. So play with the amount, but that's the right way to diffuse. Okay, next would be clipping your roots. This is with the double prong hair clips. And I've got my hair tipped down in that video or that picture so you can see basically wherever your part is on either side, you're taking sections and putting your clips in, 6 or 8 of them. And your hair ends up getting clipped up when it's wet, and then you can diffuse or you can air dry, and it just adds volume there. So then when your hair is dry, you take these out and you try to be really gentle because these can tear your hair, and you will end up just with volume right at the crown of your head, which we all like volume, right? I used to do this when I used other products, but I don't really use it anymore with my current products because I just find I have plenty of volume without. So anyway, just an idea for you. If you're a curly, you can look into getting a Diva cut, and I'll share more about this in a future web class, but a stylist who's trained in the Diva cut does a haircut differently than for other people, because curly hair just needs some care on the formation of the curls and where the actual cut is made to take advantage of the curliness of the hair. I tell you, this was my first Diva cut, and I've had 2 since, and I was not using the right products at this point. So my hair doesn't have the same, well, I mean, it looks a little frizzy and dry. So my hair's better since, but that very day, somebody said, wow, where did you get your hair cut? And then even now, today, when I go places, strangers will stop me and say, who's your stylist? And one lady said, you can't tell, but my hair's curly. Her hair was all up. And so I didn't know she was curly. So anyway, Diva Cut's really great. Products are really great. And it's a helpful combination. Betty, chopping some off today. Good for you, Betty. That will be fun. What about silver hair? So a lot of you in the chat and also by email have been telling me either you've been coloring your hair and it damages, or you say you decided to stop coloring your hair, but your silvers are so wiry and dry and don't have the same texture as the rest of your hair. Well, I think I used to be really afraid of this, and I'm not afraid of it anymore. In fact, my husband and I have talked about how when I go gray, I really want to color my hair, but I'm afraid of the toxins. So it was sort of like, okay, I'm not going to do it because of the toxins, but I really want to color my hair. But now I don't want to color my hair. I want to embrace my silver. And I think what I've seen recently is that once I open my mind to the idea that silver is beautiful and it's a sign of wisdom and age and can be just gorgeous when a woman is aging gracefully, I just thought that's who I want to be. And so I've got a picture up to show you that is a picture where it really shows my gray, because I'm getting more and more of it all the time. And I'll just put it up on the screen. I don't really love how my hair turned out this day because I diffused it and I got like tons of poof up here, but you can really see my silver. And what I want to give you hope for is if you are stopping to color your hair, or you're leery of embracing the silver, or you think your silver hairs are going to be wiry and coarse and not look as good as the rest, I think that some of that is not true. I can't guarantee that your silver hair is going to be exactly the same as your other, but I think that if you use the right products and you have good water, which means you're not getting buildup or you're not having like contaminants in the water turning your hair yellow. And you also do regular clarifying that your silver can be bright and it can be soft, close to or like the rest of your hair. So I hope I can give you that hope that it's possible. I've completely changed my mind and I think it's possible. And now I'm like actually excited to see what will happen. Okay, not super excited, but at least I'm not dreading what will happen when I completely go silver. Valerie, I call mine sparkles. I love that. Jennifer, silver is so beautiful. I was excited to earn my first gray hair. Good for you. You're a way bigger woman than I was when I saw my first one. I yanked out a bunch of them. Shouldn't have done that. So hopefully that gives you all hope. Martha, my mom had gorgeous silver and shiny gray hair. Ah, that's great. So there are special purple shampoos because the issue with silver is that it can yellow with sun, with contaminants in water, with products. So you definitely, if you're going silver, want to clarify and or use a purple shampoo to bring that brightness back to the silver. Silver should be bright. It shouldn't be yellow. It doesn't look good when it's yellow. It looks good when it's bright. And on the other hand, you don't want to be like the little old ladies that have, you can see the blue in their hair. It should look silver, not blue or purple. And my mom is saying she never thought she had curly hair either until I started getting into caring for my curly hair. Yep, and my mom now has beautiful wavy curly hair, which we didn't know about. And I get my silver from my dad. Yes, I do, because my mom doesn't have very much. So I just wanted to, I'm basically to the end of what I wanted to talk to you about today, and want to let you know that at my newish website, Wardy.com, and you all have been participating there with email or released a couple things there, that my focus is to help Christian women who have wrinkly, sagging skin, or their hair is thinning or lifeless or frizzy, or all those issues we've been talking about. Women who have those issues who want to look younger and feel attractive again. When I hit my 40s, I started to feel what I would call unsexy. My skin was getting wrinkly, it was sagging, it was dull, it was dry, some places oily. My hair was awful. You can see evidence of that in that picture. My skin looks dry, looks tight. It doesn't look healthy or glowing. My hair didn't look very good. It was dry, frizzy, tangly. I mean, I couldn't even finger comb it. There was no combing possible, even with a wide tooth comb. And I was frustrated, like I've told you about. I wanted to use non-toxic products, but they didn't work. And conventional products gave me rashes and itches. And then I just kept looking. I not only stumbled on the Curly Girl method, but I also found the right hair products, and I found the good skincare products as well. And within a month of the hair products, my hair was looking good. Within a month of using the skincare products, my skin started looking good. And I'm talking about not dry, not oily, not tight. That's my skin. My hair had volume. It wasn't frizzy. It was more curly. So I got a lot of great results. And so if you or anyone you know might be interested in learning more about them, I have a link for you where you can take a quick questionnaire to see if we might be a good fit for us to work together. It's greathairtoday.com, and you can just go through a quick questionnaire, and if it seems like it's a good fit for both of us, then we can set up a time to chat, and I can hopefully help you if you're on a similar path or have similar desires than I do to look beautiful for your age. It's a process though. We're all working on it. I'm working on it too. And I happen to have found some wonderful hair and skincare products that I'd love to share with you if that is what you're looking for. I want to show you a couple more examples because I'm not the only one who has benefited from we're talking about hair today, so I'm going to focus on hair products. I'm not the only one who's benefited. I showed you pictures of Hania. Naomi doesn't really want me to show you on camera what she looks like, but her hair has been completely transformed through identifying her hair type and selecting the right products for her. These are other people, not necessarily people I've worked with, but other people who've used similar products and been on a similar path. So this lady had extreme breakage to the point where it looked like she had side bangs, and 1 year and her hair was transformed like that. This lady is, I just feel so bad for her, but now look how great she looks. Here's another example, and I'm going to say that this is coarse, high porosity hair where the right products introduced moisture and reduced frizz and made curls more defined. How beautiful that is. Another transformation, and again, another transformation. So there's so many things that are possible. And if you'd like to work with me, again, the link is greathairtoday.com, and I'd be happy to chat with you. A quick heads up that the next web class I'll be planning probably for next month is how to care for curly hair. So if you have wavy or curly hair, I'm going to go more into depth on the process, styling, and everything that's essential to know to get great results if you have curly or wavy hair. So thank you all for submitting them in the Q&A sections. Rhonda, what did you say about products with protein for high? Yes, high porosity needs products with protein because the high porosity hair, Amy, I got my hair stained at the salon, somewhat bumpy depending on the strand of hair and takes a while to dry. Would that make me a low, medium, or high? I feel like I'm all over the place. So if your hair has been stained at the salon, that could have caused damage and given you high porosity areas, if not your whole head. Now, it takes a while to dry. If your hair is very thick and you have that damage, you could still take a while to dry. And I don't know, I mean, all of us, we might have different ideas for how long is too long. So my hair is fine. It's not super thin, but it is thinner than it probably looks because of the volume I get. And it used to be thicker before I had hair thinning issues. But it still takes me 4 to 5 hours to dry. My daughter, Hania, I showed you her picture. Her hair takes just hours and hours to dry. Now, we do have a product right now that we're using called an air dry cream that's helping cut that time down, at least in half. My hair is drying quite quickly, and I love that. I'm going to say for you, Amy, that the staining has probably caused at least medium to high porosity in some areas, and you might want to look into at least normal hair products and maybe some deep conditioning and then just start from there. Deborah, how would you know if the follicle is dead? Well, that is hard to know, but it's worth a try in case it isn't, because follicles die slowly. So if you start using hair regrowth products, and I can recommend some, the hair, we can't guarantee, but if it starts growing back and you give it 3 to 4 months, maybe even 6 to 9 months, then the follicle is not dead. And so it's kind of like trial and error. And maybe, Carrie, if you're still here, you could comment on that. Elena, when you say buildup, are you referring to hair products? I'm referring to hair products. I'm referring to silicones if you use conventional hair products. I'm referring to hard water deposits if you have hard water. Yes, all of the above. Or oil if your hair is greasy, if you have a greasy scalp and gets on there, or if you're applying oils, all of that is considered buildup. So in the chat, Sherry's asking, have you had noticeable thickening since beginning to use products for neutralizing DHT? If so, about how long did it take you to see improvement? Okay, so Sherry, yes, I have had noticeable thickening. I'm not going to say my hair was as bad as some, because some of you have sent me in pictures of thinning, or you've talked about actual bald patches, but I had thinning. Mine was not related to DHT. Mine is related to anemia and thyroid. And in addition to correcting those, which I corrected actually a couple years ago, and then I started using products that had hair regrowth ingredients, I have had additional thickening of my hair. And for me, I noticed that my hair was thicker in 2 or 3 months is about how long it was. And if you go back to a lot of these examples, some of these are anemia, some of these are hormones, some of these are DHT. And so some of them are seeing results in 1 month, and some of them are seeing results in a year. So everyone is different. Probably shouldn't have gone back through this. So you can see her, which I'm not sure what her issue was a year. I don't know the timing on this one. This one's a year. This one is in 1 month. And I'm going to say that one, I don't know. It could be stress. I don't know what the exact issue is with this, but certainly some of these are DHT. And I can give you more specific information later, Sherry, if you'd like. Carrie is saying it's really difficult to tell if the hair follicle is dead. Sometimes it's clogged with buildup. Using the hair growth products for 6 to 9 months will tell you if you're just clogged or actually dead. Thank you so much, Carrie. That's great information. Still worth a try, says Carrie. Yes, it is. Okay, Karen, is the purple shampoo considered a clarifying shampoo? Is purple shampoo considered a clarifying shampoo? No, they're different. The purple shampoo actually has a colorant. It's like purple is the opposite of yellow. So if your silver has gone yellow and you use like the opposite color, it kind of neutralizes and or brightens yellow. I don't think it replaces clarifying. I still think clarifying is essential at least once a month or when your products stop working. Carrie, my mom is in her 80s. She got much improvement with new hair growth using the products you use. It's still not as full as when she was younger, but much thicker than it used to be. Thank you so much for sharing that, Carrie. And yes, I've seen pictures of your mom. Karina, is it bad to cover hair up in a stretchy head covering? I desperately need a haircut. Haven't had one since February. My hair is shortish and wavy, generally uncontrollable. Cute. I'd love to see a picture of you. It's not bad to cover your hair up in a stretchy head covering. I just think give it a break. Don't do it all the time. Do some different things, like I would just break it up a little bit. So Christy, what product reduces DHT at scalp? So that's the product that I would recommend. If you go to greathairtoday.com and go through my questionnaire, then we can chat about that. My mom, what's a clarifying shampoo? How is it different from a normal shampoo? It's deeply cleansing. So it can break up hard water deposits, chemical deposits. It just cleans more deeply than your regular shampoo. You don't want to do it too often because your hair gets moisturized by the products you use. So imagine if you're stripping that off all the time. You only want to strip it off like once a month or when you get to the point of buildup. And a lot of people know they get to that point when their products just stop working or their hair's great. And then one day it's like a slide over the course of weeks, just like, okay, my hair's not really working this week. So do a clarifying. And then the next day it's like, okay, I'm back and my hair is back. Are the products Jenny, they're not posted. That's a questionnaire, at which point at the end you'll be able to set up a chat with me, and then I'll talk to you more about what you have going on with your hair and what I would recommend. So I hope you'll fill it out. I'd love to work with any or all of you. Mary Carroll, since I got Lyme, my scalp breaks out in pimples and itches. Also, I'm losing my hair. What should I do to help this? Mary, that's something I'd have to look into separately. So if you would go through greathairtoday.com and fill out the questionnaire, then we can look into that. I really appreciate all of you being here. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate it. Well, I don't think I'm vain, but I just want to be the best, most attractive wife and woman I can be. And it's really discouraging when your hair looks bad. It's really discouraging when your skin looks bad or you don't feel good. So I'm very personally motivated to figure things out and happy to share. Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Mother. So happy you came. If you have questions that you'd like to email, do that. I will have this as a replay. This is actually going to turn out to be a recording, Lord willing, that I post on my new website, wardy.com, so that you could refer others to it, because I think it's really good information we need to get out there so that women like us who are struggling with our hair can have great hair every day. Thank you all so much. God bless you, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.